You've heard us talk about hormone therapy by Happy Mammoth many times by now. It's a supplement that helps women maintain optimal hormone levels with over 50,000 glowing reviews from women all over the globe. 98% say that they would recommend it to friends and family. And that's why we're recommending it to you. Now we can take those hormone harmony results even further by pairing it with Happy Mammoth's probiotic collagen protein. It helps restore gut lining integrity, promoting overall hormone balance. It also helps relieve occasional bloating, reduce sugar cravings, and helps you feel satisfied longer. Because your gut directly affects your hormones, improving gut health can amplify your hormone harmony results so you feel like yourself again. Happy Mammoth is dedicated to making women's lives easier, and that means using only science-backed ingredients that have been proven to work for women. They make no compromise when it comes to quality, and it shows. Right now, you can try prebiotic collagen protein and hormone harmony risk-free and get 15% off your entire order with code MurderDiaries at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code MurderDiaries for 15% off today.
Every story you love, every invention that moves you, every idea you wished was yours, all began as nothing. Just a blank page with a blinking cursor, asking a simple question. What do you see? Great ideas start on Mac. Find out more on apple.com/Mac.
Hello, I'm Diane Morgan. If you know who I am, you know who I am. If you don't, who cares? I'm here to explain Italian Time, a holiday phenomenon where Italians throw away their clocks and gather for eternity with San Pellegrino. I've been at this party so long that I've eaten 5 courses, hugged someone's grandma twice, and been offered a job in the family restaurant. So this holiday season, make sure to bring enough San Pellegrino to last you through the meal, the after meal, and the entire goodbye ritual. San Pellegrino, holiday on Italian Time.
Welcome back to Unscripted. I'm Paige.
And I'm Natalie.
We've told you this, guys, before. We're going to keep saying it. Unscripted is going to move to its own RSS feed, essentially becoming its own podcast, hopefully by January. So stay tuned, and we're going to keep reminding you guys of this so that you know exactly where to find it.
So that doesn't mean that anything on Murder Diaries is changing. You're still going to get your episodes every Thursday of our case coverage. And these Monday episodes that are deep dives for pop culture will be moving to their own RSS feed that we'll be linking in the show notes eventually. So be on the lookout for that. And don't worry, nothing is changing, except now we're going to be in 2 places.
Yeah, and lots more exciting different types of episodes and content to come between both podcasts. So we're really looking forward to what 2026 is going to bring for the Unscripted podcast as well as the Murder Diaries. And as always, thank you for being here and listening today. I always say this, and I always say that too. I'm so flippin' excited about this one because when I tell you I was a fangirl growing up, I seriously mean it. Natalie, you want to tell them who we're talking about?
Right. I don't think you could have been a child of the 90s and not been a fan of this girl group. So it's basically, let me paint the picture for you. Butterfly clips are currency. Dial-up is eternal. We have it. We can't get rid of it. That's how you log on to the internet. And somewhere in London, 5 women are about to change feminism forever. We're talking about the Spice Girls.
Scary baby, ginger posh, sporty. Yes, now that's your lot, baby. I loved these women. I couldn't get enough of the girl power. There wasn't enough.
I couldn't get enough of them, their platform sneakers. Even I couldn't figure out who I wanted to be. There was a Spice Girl for everyone. They all had their unique persona. And I think that's part of why we've talked about this with the Kardashians. There's a Kardashian for everyone. There was a Spice Girl for everyone. So no matter if you were sporty or if you were a little bit more into fashion or wanted to be cutesy or sexy, you could pick a Spice Girl and adopt them, basically. That was your persona in your friend group.
It worked. And let me tell you why. Because, well, of course, this was a bit embellished or exaggerated for the Hollywood and the London of it all. This really was them though. Like Baby Spice really was the baby of the group. She really was the softer, more cutesy one. She literally wore pigtails the way that she wore pigtails within the girl group. And I think Victoria Beckham, who was Posh Spice, explains this really well in a recent interview. And honestly, that woman's amazing. We could do a whole nother episode on her as well.
We might.
We absolutely might. Either way, she mentions this. And again, I think that's why it really worked. And it's something that I had always really wondered about as well and never really had an answer to is who picked these personas and how were they built? And turns out a lot of it was already within them.
A lot of it was already within them, but what I did learn while researching this episode is that their names, so Baby, Posh, Scary, Sporty, Ginger, they didn't self-identify as those names. They were given to them by the media. So there's a magazine called Top of Pops in the UK, and that was the first place that coined these names for them.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
And I thought, oh, okay, because this was like such an engineered girl group, as we are going to talk about in a little bit. They all came together, obviously, to sing and get little girls in the 90s excited for this music. But it really was, as I said, engineered. There was a label behind them that was looking for to make a girl group to go against the boy bands at the time. And they held auditions for, I think, like hundreds of women to try out for the spots in the band. And that's who we ended up with.
400 women auditioned to be in this band. An interesting fact as well, that it wasn't always these 5. There was another woman before, Natalie, correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say it was before Baby Spice, before Emma Bunton. Her name was Michelle. I don't know a lot about her. I've never seen a picture. I'm dying to know more. I want to know what kind of spice she was, if you will. Yeah, and what she would have been.
Lost Spice now. Like, that was really lame. Cut that. Cut that. That's so embarrassing.
No, it's not. It's kind of what people love, that kind of crap, though. Lost Spice is kind of iconic. And of course, if you're Michelle, I can't imagine, that happening, whatever happened for Michelle to leave the group and then seeing everything that happened with this group and how they blew up, not just in the UK, but around the US, around the world, globally. They were the fastest growing British act since the Beatles. That is really saying something, especially when you don't have social media the way we did. And how did they do it? They showed up somewhere and the crowd was just huge. And then all of these sponsorships like Pepsi and so much more, they all wanted a piece of the Spice Girls. It wasn't just us 10-year-old girls.
No.
Like it was all of
a cultural movement. It really was. And I think something else I learned that was unbeknownst to me before researching for this episode is that they weren't originally called the Spice Girls. They were going to be called Touch, which really sounds more of like an R&B type of band that maybe
Not
like opens for Boys to Men or something. But they were called Touch, then for whatever reason were renamed and rebranded Spice Girls. And I think I read, and I don't know the accuracy of this, but the reason that the girl that was chosen to be part of the Spice Girls and then didn't or had to leave after she was chosen, I believe she had to go tend to her sick mother. So it could have been something like that where she may not have had too much of a choice in why she left, but we'll never really know what that band would have looked like because we got Baby Spice instead and we got Posh. I don't think she was an original member or initial member, and neither was Jerry. So I think the 2 band members that were chosen out of those auditions right away were Mel B and Mel C, which we know is like the voice. They're both really the 2 standout voices of this group, right?
Absolutely correct. And I think we also have to take into account here how again, without social media and things like that. Like imagine you could go on TikTok nowadays and put together a girl group because you've got people with 1 million followers who you can easily, build as fans of a girl group, and you can see their page, which is video after video after video of them singing. And it would just be such a different time to build a girl group like this today. So it makes sense why, okay, you know what? This formation actually didn't end up working out. I mean, even on Disney, they have multiple formations of multiple people for the same parts to see, okay, let's see this dad with this kid and this kid. Well, now let's pull this kid. Okay, pull that. It makes sense that this kind of happened, and we ended up with the perfect 5 for what was to come. The stars really did align with all of these girls. So just to reiterate, if you weren't a Spice Girl fan, we have Mel B, who became Scary Spice, Melanie C, who became Sporty Spice, Emma, who became Baby Spice, and Jerry Halliwell, who became Ginger Spice. And last, but certainly not least, is the iconic Victoria Beckham, who became Posh Spice. And
at the time,
so well.
She was Victoria Adams.
At the time,
later
she was
to
Victoria
be known
Adams.
As Victoria Beckham.
I was just telling my husband, do you understand how iconic she became as a Beckham? Even, of course, being the Spice Girls, that last name Beckham is now so it's so synonymous with her fashion label and things like that, that I forgot her maiden name. I told my husband
didn't remember
this the other day
either. And I think too, she is one of the few celebrities we see that was famous before getting married that chose to change her name when she got married or take her husband's name. We don't really see that. The only person that really comes to mind is Hailey Bieber.
Yep.
And she had an iconic last name prior to that. I mean, her whole family, the Baldwins, all her uncles and her father are in the acting universe, and they're pretty well known.
Huge.
So she did go from one big last name to an even bigger last name. And I think Victoria did that as well. She was Adams, very well known as Posh Spice, but she changed it to Beckham. And I think we do need to give her credit for making the Beckham family name what it is, because obviously David was and is an incredible athlete. And he was very well known around the world, but them joining forces as a married couple really launched that last name into the stratosphere to what it is today.
And it was all in the timing too. You can even hear, she or David talk about this, how when they got together, he saw her in this music video for Say You'll Be There, one of my favorites. And the music video is, I'm going to say iconic like 500 times in this episode, but I mean it. And he saw that and he goes, ooh, I'm going to marry that girl.
Wow.
And they meet. And guess what, though? I don't even think he was like a starting player yet. Although he was an amazing athlete, he was not the big famous athlete at the time compared to what he became.
She probably was the bigger name.
She was. And again, see, this is why we need to do an episode on her.
And we are definitely going to. So
absolutely. Stay tuned, everybody. Cat's out of the bag. She's coming.
Out of the bag. Okay, so let's rewind a little bit, because we know that those two get together at the height of the Spice Girl career.
The height, yes.
But let's talk about how they got there. So we know that these auditions were being held. 400 women auditioned for it. We eventually get our 5 members of the group.
And this is 1994, everybody. Remember, 1994. So we remember them, really blowing up within around 96, 7, 8. So this is a few years before what they became.
Right. They needed a little bit of time to build to what they were becoming.
Absolutely. They lived together.
I was going to say, did you know that they moved into a 3-bedroom house?
This is I wanted to explore this with you. It's so K-pop, because a lot of times when they are building K-pop groups, they're practicing all day long, separate together. They're seeing what formation works with all of the girls. And then they go home and there's 10 girls that are making up this K-pop band. living together, and they become best friends. I'm sure there's plenty of fighting and plenty of love and plenty of excitement and competition.
I did see a quote from Mel B, I think it was, that said they fought like cats and dogs. So while they were all pretty close, you know, when you stick 5 women into a house that maybe didn't grow up together and have different ways of, you know, different levels of cleanliness, different personalities, there's going to be a little bit of clashing. It doesn't matter if it's men, women, a mix of men and women, you know, you're going to have a little bit of clashing, and they weren't without that.
Oh, you're going to click and you're going to clash. Absolutely.
I thought you were going to say you're going to click and you're going to clack.
Actually, yeah, you could click and clack, truly. But yeah,
whatever that means, I don't know.
I guess it is a play on that, absolutely. But right, you're going to have those moments where maybe you're closer with somebody else, then you're closer with this person, and you're fighting with that person, or you're uncomfortable with this person. There's ebbs and flows within all of these relationships, and I'm sure some of them were closer in certain ways than others, and variations of that throughout time, because this is such a serious thing to go through together that it really does bond them, though, the way that like
regular bonded or trauma bonded is yet to be determined. But
yes,
you know, like you're saying, they are working on their art this entire time that they're living together. They're working on demos in the studio. Then they go home and they work on their choreography. And so it is a really involved job. You know what I mean? You don't really leave the job. You go home after a long day of working on singing and working on songs with your coworkers, basically, that obviously become friends. But you go home and you have to work on choreography. So you eat, sleep, everything, this job that you're trying to get off the ground.
And you're probably getting, you know, either everything paid for and or a certain salary to, you know, be giving your life to this. Regardless of everything we were just talking about as well, these girls really did always end up coming together to make it happen, which is why it became what it was. And one of the biggest things that they did was, so Heart Management is the entity that wanted to form this group. And I think it's so important to know that by the time we got to know the Spice Girls, they were no longer with Heart Management, and they had hired somebody by the name of Simon Fuller, who is probably iconic, but I'm just not that great with like names. So they hired him as their manager, and he got them signed with Virgin Records. And that's when everything really started popping off, because they released their debut single, Wannabe, in 1996, which, by the way, reached #1 on the charts in 37 countries.
I was going to say, it went platinum in my household. Oh, I had a little boom box. I think that's like literally a little boom box. Like that is what we listen to, or listen to our music on. And that CD was run through. Like I'm surprised it still played by the time I was done with it.
It went triple platinum every day in my household, baby.
Right?
Let me tell you, I was out there dancing, which I can't do, by the way, and just having a blast with it. And I really feel like, yes, you know, it's got that Taylor Swift effect where like, yes, each new generation could fall in love with this, right? So kids loved it, but like people in high school and college were having fun with it too. Like whether it was nerdy or not, I don't know. But like, it wasn't only for kids. It wasn't only for that. It's got that effect where like multi-generations could.
Like the 4-quadrant effect. Like it reached through the different age groups.
Absolutely. And I mean, it would have to be able to become that fastest selling act in the UK or from the UK since the Beatles. And when I heard that, I'm assuming that they mean the fastest UK act, growing UK act in the US, because the US, for whatever reason, for lots of them, I'm sure, is one of those markets that can be difficult to tap. But once you tap it, if you blow up, you're blowing up. So to blow up this quickly in the US is unreal. But what's interesting too, though, is that this era is often referred to as like cool Britannia.
Yeah.
And it mirrored what was happening. I have like chills. What was happening in the 60s, right around exactly 30 years before this, which is when the Beatles were signed by Deccan, and boom, boom, boom. So it's kind of interesting and really cool to see it be 5 women in the kind of mirroring age. And I think we see this all the time within like 20, 30, 40, 50 years. History tends to like repeat itself in certain cool ways.
I'm glad you bring that up, though, because I think it showcases that not only did this group have magic together, but they just hit at the right time for society, or, just the general time when people were looking for something like them. And I think that's important for us to realize is like, yes, it was a great group with great dynamics, with something really fun and exciting and new that they were bringing to music, but it was also the audience that they were trying to get needed to be ready for them, and they were ready for them. And I think that combo really helped them get to be where they were. And you mentioned that they were the fastest growing
UK act.
I really want to drive this home with this fact that I just saw. So when they released their debut single, Wannabe, obviously that was huge, but they also released the music video. It aired, just the music video, 70 times a week at its peak. That's an insane amount of times.
The album hadn't even come out yet. Okay, this is huge. And again, no social media, no YouTube. I also want to correct myself. I feel like I said Deccan Records. It's Decca. I'm an idiot. Anyways.
I didn't catch it, so.
Thank you. Anyways, this is huge. And by the way, this video is for Wannabe. And that was the first single. And that song still goes hard. Like, I will still jam out to that song. And I was noticing that my Apple Music library didn't have it in it any longer. So, and I've noticed this with multiple songs, by the way, which is a whole different tangent we will not get into. But if that's been happening to you too, leave us a comment like, yes, because I don't know what's going on with my Apple Music, but I'll be like, oh, I haven't heard the Spice Girls in a while.
And then it's not there.
And it's not there.
Yeah,
and
that's happened to me too.
It's like gaslighting me into thinking that I never added it, but it's like, oh, yes, I did. And I would have added it from CDs back when we were still loading
probably why
music
it wasn't
from
there.
CDs.
They want you to download
it.
I don't know.
But that Spice Girls is going to be on the list along with Taylor Swift and a lot of other ones that you would be surprised that I listened to, some of the emo stuff, some of the punk stuff that I used to listen to in high school that I would always make sure when I switched platforms that I would make sure it was on there. So anyways, Apple gaslighting did not win though. And Spice Girls are back up in my music library, including Wannabe, because that song, like I said, it still goes hard. And so does Say You Will Be There. Like this first album, like you said, it went hit after hit, going triple platinum daily in my house. Like just so good. And honestly, I feel like this was so early for me that I was still, my little boombox had tapes. And I think I got a CD player the next year because my first album was Social Distortion, which is so funny, but love having an older brother who introduced me to that kind of music as well. So that kind of shows you the wide variety that I was listening to. But Spice Girls had my heart because a little bit after this, let me tell you, it only took one album, but I was sending off a video to MTV's Fanatic.
Did you?
My little bestie, you know her. You guys may have actually heard her on a previous episode speaking with us at one point as well. But my little bestie, Melanie, was filming me on our huge JVC shoulder video recorder, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I had all my Spice Girls paraphernalia out. I mean, there were books, there was music, there was all the things. Lollipops, stickers, because the stickers came in the lollipops. Remember those at Blockbuster? I would get one every time we went to Blockbuster. I was like, I'm getting the lollipop.
Do you remember Blockbuster for anyone listening?
Right. So we'd go to Blockbuster on a Friday, Saturday night, and I would get my Spice Girls lollipop. And then when you open the package all the way up, there was a sticker. It was so brilliant. A sticker sticking on the inside of the foil package. And boom, you had a little fun prize. Loved all of that. So I had all of these little things. I wish I knew more. I probably made some creepy fangirl book. I used to do that. I made one for Leo DiCaprio as well. And so did this best friend. So, okay, she cannot, nobody can judge. But I mean, that's what you did in the 90s, right? You were ripping things out of magazines. That's all we had. We didn't use the internet for these types of searches. I still had kids AOL.
If this was when the Spice Girls were big, it's like 97. That's when Titanic came out. obviously you're probably making out with the Titanic poster, Leo DiCaprio on the wall. Like, I've seen it done. He never really did it for me, but my cousins were obsessed with him.
Oh,
They had
so
the
many
little
of us were.
glow in the dark stars that you would attach to your ceiling.
Yeah.
They had it around their poster.
Hilarious. And that's just the kind of time it was, which is, I think, another reason why the US was so ready for the Spice Girls to be obsessed with. And that's what we were doing in the 90s. We had like a resurgence from what was going on in the 80s and with New Kids on the Block. And then like we kind of have like a smallish, like what's going on in the pop world until around this time, so there was like a small lull. So we were ready to be obsessed and send off videos to Fanatic and go off with all of our official and unofficial. The books I had on each one of the Spice Girls, they were unofficial books, but they were like these little books that I got at a promenade that you know very much so. And there was like a little gift store in there. When I saw those books, I was like, I am getting each one of these little books. I wish I still had them. I can't believe I got rid of some of that stuff.
Collector's items, baby.
They are. I still have my dolls though. I only have Ginger and Baby. I didn't collect them all because again, we didn't.
No, you chose your Spice Girl that you liked. And that's usually what you went with.
Right. We didn't have eBay thinking, oh, we're going to sell these on eBay later. Like, no, that's not why we were buying things back then. And we didn't have resellers for Ray Dunn and whatever the hot trend is and Stanley's. And like, we weren't reselling things like that. Like you resold it at a garage sale. So I do regret not having all of them, but not for that purpose of reselling, right?
You're so right to bring up just how influenced you were as a child by the Spice Girls at the time. I mean, we were inundated with not only, products like Barbies, lollipops, posters, but really just in pop culture in general. Mm-hmm. You brought up how they were a mirror of the Beatles 30 years later. Well, with the Beatles, we had Beatlemania. With the Spice Girls, we had what the press dubbed Spice-mania. Like they eventually started to be called the Fab Five. They were such a force to be reckoned with. And one of the things that even helped launch them further into the stratosphere, which I feel like I say a lot, but like I truly mean that's how big this group was that same year in 97, they released their movie, Spice World.
Things were happening really quickly. So if we back up, we've got Wannabe in July 96, the album released in November. I mean, we could never these days have that many months in between the single and the album and still catch the excitement and whatever momentum behind it.
Well, nowadays artists have to secretly record an album and release it because that buildup kills the momentum. If they let the audience know that, hey, I'm recording an album, it should be released. People don't have the bandwidth or the attention span to wait that long. It has to be done all at once.
Right. And once they started hitting, they did hit that track of speed a little bit more because then in January 97, that's when they popped over to the US. And then, like you said, they had the Spice World, the movie, which we ate up. But all of this
I watched it all the time.
Oh, all the time. And a lot of this comes from this one event where a crowd of 500,000 was attracted to Oxford Street in London to watch the Fab Five, if you will, switch the Christmas lights on, which I guess is like the famous spot in London where they do their tree, which is pretty common, I think, around many cities where you've got your Christmas tree. But they attracted 500,000. And that's when everybody really knew, okay, these girls, they're hitting it. So that's when all of these things started popping off for them. And they were there was no stopping them at this point. And let me tell you, I'm going to look at some quick notes that I have here because I had never heard these numbers before. And they're pretty astounding. They went 7 times platinum in the US. And the album was number 1 in 17 countries, which, by the way, ended up helping them beat the Beatles for the highest selling album of a non-American act.
Also, can I point out that they weren't selling variants. They sold one version of the album.
Yep. So
And
one
those
version.
album sales were for one single version, not 34, 35, just one version. And I feel like that's so hard to do nowadays.
Yeah, they sold 28 million copies globally, which says so much because that's one type of album, one CD sale. That's how many people were buying the album, right? This person, that person, that person. It was 28 million. It was not, 4 different types of the vinyl alone, Miss Taylor Allison Swift, who I love dearly. Okay. Like, this is a big deal.
Now, I'm sure there were some people that bought more than one copy of the album, but they weren't buying it in excess. You know what I mean? It wasn't the masses buying 4 different copies. It was maybe, some randoms, a girl here, a girl there. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
yeah. No, it's such a
different
great
time.
point. A way different time. And you do have to wonder what else was different about all the marketing, because it's hard for me to remember, again, as like a 10-year-old, like 8, 9, 10 years old, like I can't remember how I even found out about them. Magazines, interviews. I think they used to do like a lot more of that, probably.
A lot more press. They had to. That was the only way that they could get out.
True. And then the albums did the speaking for themselves, because you go 7 times platinum. That's
right. Well, and
crazy.
That's the thing. Like, their album really was like, they reigned the radios. You know what I mean? With their album, it was like girl power as religion, a whole new level of feminism that was fun and relatable to young girls, older women.
We were doing it in like pictures, the peace sign, and saying girl
that was
power.
So Spice Girls. Yes.
It was Spice Girls. And we all just kind of started doing it, almost even forgetting that it was from them, that is what they brought to us.
I actually was looking at pictures of them before this, and they have met Prince Charles, well, now King Charles, several times throughout their careers. And
pinching his bottom, by the way.
Well, in a lot of the pictures, though, they are doing the peace sign. And it was very much the symbol of the Spice Girls.
Yes. And again, when they were able to meet him, they weren't always as like traditional as you would think. And maybe that was already run by the Prince's people, because it is press for all of them. He's visiting them the same reason they're visiting him, kind of. You know what I mean? Like, things are sort of mutual in that regard for press and staying relevant and stuff. But they did. They like pinched his bottom or something like that. Like, I don't even know.
And they even had a meeting with Harry, Prince Harry, because this was around the time, I'm sure he met them several times too, along with his father. But
okay, he would have been like 12 or 13.
Yeah, he was very young. And it was around the time that his mother passed away. I think he actually brings up meeting them in his memoir. It's been about 2 years since I read it, but it was a big moment for him too.
Ever wonder why so many people regain weight after stopping a GLP-1? Up to 40% of the weight loss can come from lean muscle. This weakens the body, slows metabolism, and makes it easier to put the pounds back on, creating a cycle of dependency. Prolon's 5-day fasting mimicking diet offers a drug-free way to maintain results and support long-term metabolic health. In just 5 days, it activates fasting pathways to burn fat, protect muscle, and rejuvenate cells, all while letting you enjoy real food. Whether transitioning off a GLP-1 or seeking a sustainable solution, Prolon helps you stay on track. So what exactly is Prolon? Well, it's a plant-based nutrition program featuring soups, snacks, and beverages designed to nourish the body while keeping it in a fasting state, thus triggering cellular rejuvenation and renewal. It was developed over more than 2 decades at USC's Longevity Institute, and it's backed by top U.S. medical centers. Prolon has been shown to support fat-focused weight loss, biological age reduction, metabolic health, skin appearance, and so much more. Prolon really picks up where GLPs leave off. It's convenient, backed by Nobel-winning science, and helps you sustain your results long term. What I love about Prolon is how simple they make it. Everything you need comes right to your door, perfectly portioned and easy to follow. And the food? It's delicious. For a limited time, Prolon is offering listeners 25% off site-wide, plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day program. Just visit prolonlife.com/diaries. That's PROLONLIFE.com/diaries to claim your 25% discount and your bonus gift. prolonlife.com/diaries.
I can't stress enough how big of a difference therapy through Rula has made in my life. For the last many years, I have turned to Rula to access my therapy in order to manage things like OCD, as well as just the everyday stuff from existing here on Earth. I love being able to access it virtually, especially during the pandemic. My OCD was not comfortable going in person, and the selection of therapists I was able to choose from was incredible. I seriously love my therapist that I have right now so much. So with Rula, you too can find the right therapist for you. No, really, I mean that, because Rula partners with over 15,000 therapists and psychiatrists that operate nationwide. And listen, most of your major insurance companies are going to cover in-network care. Most patients pay as little as $15, but depending on your coverage, you might pay $0. I know I do. And if that's not enough, Rula is committed to being there with you every step of the way. I know they've been there for me the entire time I've been with them. They've helped me find the right therapist twice now, 2 amazing therapists that I've been able to work with. They also remind me when I have an appointment. They can do this for you too. Thousands have already trusted Rula to support them on their journey towards improved mental health and overall well-being. Head over to rula.com/diaries to get started today. After you sign up, they ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Go to rula.com/diaries and take the first step towards better mental health today. You deserve quality care from someone who cares.
No one should have to choose between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Purina is helping to create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters through the Purple Leash Project, so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit purina.com/purple to learn more.
Don't miss a special offer on November 19th from Botox Cosmetic Anabotulinum Toxin A, the one and only product of its kind FDA approved for over 20 years. Buy one $50 gift card and get one free while supplies last. Terms and conditions apply. For prescribing information and box warning, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
Over the last 20 years, L'Oréal Paris has honored 200 women of worth, uplifting their communities. Women who see the worth in every person, overlooked or underserved, who see an opportunity for change, who see a chance for better. They may be one of 200, but their journeys are always uniquely one of one. Here's to 200 more women of worth.
We're worth it.
We're worth it.
We're worth it.
We're worth it.
So it just showcases how relevant these women were.
Oh, yeah. They had a book this year, too, by the way. Like, we don't want to skim over that. So they just have so much. We're starting to, like I said, they're really on this track of like content, feed the masses, feed the masses, feed the masses. But the music and the content at this time, it never really suffered. Like everything was still fun and very much them. I mean, they sold out their book within one day, 200,000 copies. So then obviously there was more copies and it was translated into like 20 languages. Like I remember feeling how big they were back then. But again, I never was aware of all of these things. And I want to get my hand on this book because how I didn't have this particular book called Girl Power, I don't know. Do you remember this book?
I don't. And that's why, as you were saying it, I was thinking, do I remember it?
Right.
No, I don't. And it doesn't surprise me, though, because I think I was a little bit younger. We're not too far apart in age, but I was very obsessed with their album, Spice World, very obsessed with the movie. And I did watch the movie all the time. The double-decker bus, them having to deactivate a bomb. They also had their really individual rooms in the bus, which now thinking about it, like not as a 7-year-old, there's no way any of those rooms would have ever fit in a double-decker bus. Do you remember they had like different?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was like they all was like a hotel.
It was like
each one had their own hotel. Like, no.
Yeah. And they were all set up and designed in the style of their persona. So like Posh had a very luxurious space. Baby had a lot of pink and fluffy items in her room.
Ginger had, the Union Jack and the blue and the white and red, and
really became synonymous with her. That dress.
One performance where she wore a little baby doll dress with the Union Jack on it, or it was entirely Union Jack. Yep. That's where it happened. And that was early on. So yeah, it stuck. But that was her. And then Scary would be much more like the animal print.
She had a lot of cheetah.
Specifically. Yeah. Lots of yellow, lots of cheetah for Scary.
So we didn't touch on this, but I am curious, which Spice Girl were you?
Ooh. I did love them all. If it was today, I would probably be Posh. That should be no shocker, given a few moments ago on this podcast, gushing about Victoria. But I think I really liked Ginger and Baby back then, and that's why I have their stuff. But singing-wise, I always liked Sporty. Like, she had the best voice to me.
Well, yeah, she was the voice. She really carried the group. And I think that's funny that you chose Ginger and Baby, because those were probably who I always flip-flop between the two. I wanted to be them. And I don't know if it was because they had really cool platform shoes. They dressed in more campy outfits.
Yes. I think it appealed to us as children.
Yeah, it really did. Versus like Posh, as an adult, I could see her being, she is very
chic,
sophisticated,
and cool. Yeah.
And
whereas as a kid,
who I would want to be as an adult. But I definitely related a little bit more, or want it to be seen as fun and cute, like Baby, or a little bit sexy. I mean, a 7-year-old's not going to be sexy, but you know what I mean? Like at the time, it was like, wow,
you feel cheeky and cool.
Yeah, cheeky is the best and more appropriate word. Yes.
Right. Whereas, Victoria, Posh really got kind of known to not really even smile much or anything like that as part of the characters she built.
Did more of a smize. She smiled with her eyes.
Right. And even on the Spice World movie poster, one of them, the most iconic one, she's the only one not smiling, but she's kind of smizing and like doing her look, like she's serving Luke's. Okay. And I think that's why as a kid, you're not going to really relate to that or enjoy that as much. That's boring to you as a kid.
Yeah. But like looking at her outfit now at the movie poster for Spice World, if I had been 15 or 16, I would have wanted to be her. Like that outfit still holds up.
Totally.
She's like sexy. She knows exactly who she is. And that's something that we're going to touch on when we talk about her and the rest of the Beckham family. Like she's always known that she wanted to go into fashion, but you could even see reflections of that here.
It's the little Gucci dress.
The little Gucci dress. Yes.
That's an iconic scene in case you weren't in the Spice Girls or you've never seen the movie where it's like, should I wear the little Gucci dress, the little Gucci dress, or the little Gucci dress?
And what's funny, you mentioned that she was the one who didn't smile in a lot of the photos, but she was also the one who didn't really sing, because it would later come out that they would turn her microphone off in most of their performances.
Awful. I mean, she can sing a little bit, but not to like the level for what I think they needed.
Which is interesting, though, because she auditioned out of however many girls, as we said, and was chosen. So she bring something.
She sang a song from Cabaret.
So like we know she can sing, but maybe, she wasn't quite as confident in her abilities when she was stacked up against Mel C.
Well, and sometimes your style is just going to be different. Like you might have a look, but like your style of singing might not be very puppy, It's like, I mean, and let's not forget, Taylor Swift put on a fake country accent because she was not from Nashville. They moved there when she was like 14.
Taylor Allison Swift is getting called out.
Oh, well, listen, always with love. Even Swifties will joke about it. Like, oh, how cute, Taylor with the fake country accent, because I mean, and some of it could have been more pronounced because she was living there at the time. But, sometimes again, you are like when you're wanting to sell a country record, because that's what was popular at that time, you sort of have to kind of fit into this mold that actually might not be you and even got you that label or got you into the girl group. So yeah, they kind of had to adjust things because she's much more like theater. And she even says she's always loved it. And she is quite shy, but you could never, ever imagine any of those Spice Girls being shy besides her. Because even when you look at all the dynamics happening and stuff, and she would make funny, faces and do the peace sign and stuff like the rest of them, but she was not like
She's
scary.
much more reserved.
Yes, she was not like scary or Ginger, like just jumping out your TV screen. I mean, they really did. And Sporty had a lot of energy too. She was always jumping around.
Well, she was sporty. I mean, she showed off her athleticism. And I think
Exactly.
it's okay. I mean, it obviously all worked out in the different levels of enthusiasm that they brought to the table.
Yeah.
Because if we had all five members with the same level of enthusiasm as some of them, I think it might have been too much. So with having a few members being a little bit more reserved, it gave a nice balance.
It does. It really, really did. And clearly it worked because barely even a year after the first album, in October of 97, we get their next single from their second album, which you have already mentioned, Spice World, which was honestly, it was a perfect follow-up album to what we already had. In today's world, it almost could have been a sister album. It was very similar. Sometimes I forget, not all the time, but it's like sometimes I might even forget, which song, I was wanting to refer back to Ladies of Amp, which I actually did quote in the beginning when I said scary baby, ginger posh, sporty baby, now that's your lot, or sporty, hey, whatever the words are. I was thinking about that song today and I thought that it was on the first album, but no, it was on Spice World. And so it's kind of funny how you remember things. But that was another, again, a great album, basically a sister album, and it went on to top the charts too. I mean, they were just breaking record after record.
And that's something that isn't always easy to accomplish. A lot of artists come out with a banger of a first album and they follow up with something that doesn't quite match up. But for the Spice Girls, it was a great album followed by a great album.
You're actually hitting the nail on the head because guess what? They were the first British band since the Rolling Stones and since 1995, so over 20 years at this point, to have 2 albums in the Billboard Top 10 in the US ever since 1995. So yeah, you're right. That did not happen, especially for UK acts.
I didn't know that, but I'm unsurprised because I just know the level of fame that they had at the time, how much I loved it. And I'm just thinking back to when I would listen to this music. I was doing dance a lot and everyone at the dance studio wanted to perform dances to these songs. It was just like what we were listening to. It was a bunch of little girls that wanted to be a Spice Girl.
I can still hear the rumble beginning of Spice Up Your Life, which is the intro song.
I'm pretty sure I did a dance to that. And I had I'm thinking back to the costumes, which, when you are in dance, you have crazy costumes, but they were rainbow bell bottoms with a rainbow crop top, dancing to Spice Up Your Life. That just shows
so cute.
It was very much of its time.
And the fun that everybody was having. I will say numbers wise, they doubled their sales. They sold 77 million copies of this album. Again, one variant.
That number is hard to fathom too.
Oh yeah. Especially when a year before that, they sold 28 million, which was already setting some records. So pretty crazy.
We've touched on the peak mania of Spice Mania, right? Where everyone wants a piece of the Spice Girls. But there were
movies,
a lot of
books, music. We had it all.
They were involved in a little bit of everything. But there were some dark undercurrents happening. There was a lot of tension beneath this girl group, girl power persona that they had.
I think you lose that initial excitement of what you're organically building and you start to really feel probably different directions artistically. And you start to feel like maybe you know enough now. It's been 3-4 years. I know what I want to do and I know where I want to go.
Well, and personalities start to clash. Maybe you were able to overlook some things when you were getting to know each other, when you were building this. But now when
you were excited of what was to come.
Right. And now that you're getting a little bit more settled into your new life of fame and fortune, it's a little, those annoyances start to creep in again. And I did see that Mel C, Sporty Spice, did acknowledge that someone in the group, she did not name who it was, bullied her around this peak fame time. She was bullied by a member of the band. And she did say in an article that came out, 20 years later, that the person does know that how she felt bullied at the time. They've talked about it and it's been addressed and an apology was said. And that's kind of where she left it. But that wasn't the only, dark undercurrent that was happening. We also had Jerry, Ginger Spice, leave the group unexpectedly.
In May of 98. And this comes after a huge tour. They had just embarked in February on their Spice World tour, which started in Ireland before, it moved on to North America and the mainland of Europe. So, we're talking huge international tour. And then boom, May of 98, we're leaving. And by the way,
it was in the middle of the tour. She left before it hit the US.
It was wild. And the way Victoria talks about it in a really recent interview was that they kind of found out with everybody else in a way, or like they woke up and she was just gone. Like she hadn't really primed them that like, hey, I'm feeling this way, that way in terms of leaving specifically at least, or they weren't hearing it as I'm considering leaving. Like it was just that they woke up one day and she was gone or she was leaving. Like there was no, after this month, I'm not going to be able to finish the tour, whatever. Like nothing. That to me is huge, especially considering how huge they were at this time. They had just sold 77 million copies of their second album. My goodness.
So I have some tea about this too. So as I was looking into it a little bit more, because obviously I was a little girl when they were at peak stardom, I didn't really understand everything that was going on with Jerry leaving. And I think for the broader public, no one really knew the true reasons. She cited...
we were all upset. Like there were tears, people were confused, and it kind of felt like
it felt like a betrayal.
Yeah, we got betrayed.
And if we felt like that as the audience and the fans, can you imagine how the members of the group felt when they were blindsided by her leaving? And she originally cited differences with other members of the group and also personal exhaustion, which I can only imagine doing such a huge tour, being, day after day, waking up, doing these performances must be exhausting. But it would later come out that it may not have been the sole reason she left. So the day that she left, May 31st, 98, happens to also be Scary Spice's birthday.
That's right.
And Mel B, who's Scary Spice, actually does say that she left on my birthday. And that was like a big blow to her because we come to find out that those two had a romantic relationship. So it wasn't just her bandmate and her friend that was leaving. It was someone that she was romantically, I don't know what level of romance that they had, but they were linked to one another.
Has this been confirmed? I never knew.
I would never repeat it
this.
If it hadn't been confirmed, but it always was it was always a rumor that had circulated for years and years and years, for probably 2 decades. And then Mel B actually was on a Piers Morgan show or radio something, and he asked her about it. And so I'm going to read a little transcript because I did actually pull it up. And so you can get it from her words instead of me just repeating what she had said.
I am all ears.
So this is the conversation. Piers, there were rumors you and Jerry were more than just good friends. You had a little dabble. Anything you want to share with the group? Which is like kind of perverted what he would...
A little dabble. My goodness, Piers. Please.
I know. So out of touch. Such an old man comment. But
the 90s didn't care.
No, I think this was in like the 2020s.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
He's asking her about it. So he says, anything you want to share with the group? And Mel B doesn't respond. There's a really long silence. And I kind of feel like, yes, he's trying to get ratings, but for me, if I had asked somebody something and they had a long silence, I would take that as they don't want to talk about it. But he follows up.
It's like a no vote or an abstention. It's like, well, we know what you really mean. You just don't want to put that on the record kind of thing. Yeah.
And he follows up with no denial. And then she finally responds and says, she had great boobs. And then Pierce says, so you did. And Mel says, well, not really. And he responds, well, you clearly did, right? Yes. And I guess she was on stage at this point, and in the audience is Mel C. And Mel B looks to Mel C, Sporty Spice, in a way to get some support. And Mel C, Sporty Spice, says, I don't know anything. And then Mel B replies, oh, whatever, Mel. So it sounds like it was an open secret. And Mel C responds, this is all new to me. Basically, they go on to say...
Interesting on Mel C's side.
Right.
Because it wasn't like Mel B was looking for her to deny it. And like,
I don't think she was looking for her to deny it, but you also have to remember, this is two friends of hers being talked about and only one is present.
Right. So it wasn't like it was almost like Melanie B wanted her to be like,
wanted her to say it. Yeah, but she wouldn't.
She wouldn't because, Jerry's not present for her side of the coin of like, that was one time or,
that's funny.
It's not like
say
we were together for a year or,
because Pierce keeps pushing, and I'm not going to read the entire transcript, but he goes on to say, how many times a day? Did you go on for a while? Were you in love? Oof. And Mel says, we were best friends. It just happened. Have you ever done anything like that? And basically she just goes on to say like, yes, we had a relationship. It was very special to me. And that's kind of where she leaves it. And it was sort of a bombshell that this was finally confirmed. And Mel ends the conversation basically like, I've said it now, all done. She's going to kill me. And so's her husband. She's not that posh now, is she? And so she just kind of like leaves it at that. Like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. But yes, I have publicly finally acknowledged that this is a relationship we had. And for her to leave on Scary Spice's birthday, what does that tell you? It was a little bit more complex than we may have been led to believe initially.
It's interesting that she brings up her husband. I mean, obviously that makes sense, but it's interesting because she married Christian Horner, who I believe is a British billionaire who was like a motorsport executive, if you will. I don't know a ton about him, but I was reading some discourse in the comments. I also listened to a recent interview, months ago. Jerry was on a podcast and she talked about her books. And let me tell you, this woman's fashion is much more posh, like Melanie sort of makes fun of there. And she's an author. So it's just kind of interesting that she says, oh, she's not so posh now, is she? She's not just like some billionaire's wife going to all these galas and all of this stuff that, the billionaires do. She is still Jerry, who may or may not have had a romantic relationship in her 20s with Melanie B. So it's very interesting to kind of the juxtaposition between being a billionaire's wife and your style changing to be a lot more chic and simple and old money to wearing a Union Jack dress. But I also want to give Jerry credit in the fact that like, I don't dress like I did when I was 22, 24 years old. So that's okay too. We all kind of grow up. I mean, the woman is 50 years old,
Right. She certainly had a rebranding of her image. And I think that as, we are talking about her departure from the Spice Girls, they didn't stay together very much longer after that. And a lot of them ended up pursuing solo careers and they all sort of fell into their own different lane. So like we talked about Jerry, who she did eventually marry a billionaire. She writes books, but she did have a solo career for a little bit. Mel C launched her own label, Red Girl Records. Victoria, which I don't feel like she really needs any explanation what she's done. She's built an entire brand that is much more luxurious than, a lot of other brands out there. And Mel B has really stayed in the spotlight. She has been famously a judge on America's Got Talent and some of its spinoffs. So we know that they've all sort of found their lane.
She's actually known to be kind of a tough judge too, by the way.
But that doesn't mean that they haven't come together over the years. I can distinctly remember that in the mid 2000s, so like 2007, they had their first reunion tour. I actually went to that.
Jealous.
It was so fun. And something I will acknowledge too is that posh Victoria Beckham actually showed up for this reunion because there have been other reunion tours and she has chosen to opt out of them.
I think one of the biggest ones, and this might be one of the ones you're talking about, was the one that they announced in 2007.
Yeah.
That was that in conjunction with the Backstreet Boys? Was there something where there was like another tour that was like Spice Girls and Backstreet Boys? I remember so many people going to, but you know what? 2007 is too late for that.
I was going to say, I didn't attend one with the Backstreet Boys. I'm sure there was one, but the one I did go to didn't have them.
I think the whole picture of everything that the Spice Girls did really actually is so well explained through each of the albums, because by 2000 we got a final Spice Girls album. After there was some solo work, especially I would say Jerry Halliwell's is really well known, but honestly Baby Spice, Scary Spice, and Sporty all did solo work. But again, they came back together, and by 2000 they released Holler, and that was like the first single of the third album. And unfortunately, it did reflect what was going on with their group as well after Jerry left. Not necessarily because she left, but it was just sort of the end, I think, of a cohesive chapter for them, because that album just honestly isn't as good. Holler really reminds me of like TLC in a way, which just wasn't
their
who
vibe.
the Spice Girls were.
Yeah.
And we're talking 2000, so it makes sense. Like you're talking, like when you think of a 2000 music video, and if you haven't thought about this before, now go watch a couple of like your favorite songs from this time period. It's all very metallic, lots of silvers and grays behind them, very spaceshipy, very much like you're just
like
in like
very
a
Xenon girl of the 21st century.
Yes, and it's very much them in like a room, and like them being any artist in like a silver
an empty room. Yes.
Yeah. And like an empty room and doing kicks and dancing in crop top and pants. Like it's
like
just
baggy pants. Yeah.
Baggy pants.
I can totally picture it.
Yes.
And that was not the vibe of
them.
The Spice Girls. They really were lightning in a bottle. There was a short, very short-lived moment that they were on top. And that, like we said, it was a huge, like, they broke records. They were huge. But as quickly as they came into popularity, they sort of just fizzled out.
It fizzled out, I think, with the ending of that cohesive chapter. And while they did try to update to the times, and I listened to it today and I'm like, this sounds like 2000. It's just not what we were expecting from the Spice Girls. And I think it was also just an unfortunate sign of the times where they had to update, and then it just didn't work as well as what was done before, because you also don't want to get stuck in the past, right? Like I said, we have two really good albums that could have been sister albums. Do we move on from that? Like, I'm sure all of these creative decisions were being discussed, but of course it is its own niche. Like when I hear the beginning of Goodbye, which is kind of a tribute to Jerry in a certain way, but also a tribute to saying goodbye to what the Spice Girls were. But as soon as I hear the no, chills instantly. But when I hear Holler, like I don't feel the same way as when I hear that drum beat of Spice Up Your Life or Wannabe or anything like that. Like it doesn't do it the same way that the other intro tracks that are iconic, incidentally, of the other two albums. Like it just doesn't do that. But yes, of course, like there are some good songs on it. It's not the same. And
no, it didn't capture that magic that they had together.
No. And it kind of makes me sad that there is an album out there lingering like that. But I don't know that a lot of artists get away without that. It's pretty true. We've covered a lot of them now And I just feel like, it's really hard to get away from that.
And I think we're lucky to get what we got, though. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's like a time capsule now. Like it
really
almost works to their benefit of like, this is their flash in a pan and it was hot. It was amazing.
And they really capitalized like on that nostalgia when they did their 2007 tour. And then when they actually opened for the Olympics in 2012. And so like, these are like their big moments following their breakup and that third album. So 2007, that nostalgia tour, 2012, opening up for the Olympics.
Which it took the world by storm, by the way, how well they all still performed together. And it was all 5, just as a reminder, like all 5 girls, they were there.
We can officially call this iconic because it was so unexpected and so like, it felt like such a treat to be able to have all 5 of them performing together for the closing ceremony.
And this is in Toronto, just in case anybody wanted to remember, because I didn't remember. So I had to like make sure I knew what Olympics that was. So yeah.
And then like after that, we didn't really hear from them until 2019 when they had another reunion. But like I had sort of touched on earlier, Posh, Victoria Beckham, didn't show up for this one. So this time we got Jerry, Ginger Spice, but we were left without Posh.
I also think it's a sign of the times, because you got to think about like, at what age are you hanging out with your friends like all the time? And, and that's teens and earlier to maybe mid 20s. But then after that, like just life starts to change. The girls started having kids, and it doesn't mean you can't go do these things. That is not what I mean. But it is obvious that changes things that people want and what they're doing in their lives and how it fits in or not. And
these reunions have me wondering too, if they're thinking that nostalgia pays more than maybe a new album, and why not capitalize on nostalgia? There are plenty of grown-up little girls with adult money now that want to go see them, that maybe they don't want to diminish their brand with an album that maybe flops. And so they just capitalize on the songs that we know and love and want to sing along to.
Yeah. And they did what a lot of
people are doing it now. A lot of artists.
And they released for the 25th anniversary, not long after, the reunion tour in 2019, they were re-releasing EPs of like Wannabe and Spice 25, which was like a deluxe reissuing of the first album, Spice.
Spice 25. Like, what do the ingredients call for?
Yeah, it definitely sounds like an illicit substance. But then on September of 2022, they released another anniversary edition of Spice World. So, I mean, again, tapping into what the world looks like now, remastering, reissuing. But these did include like demos and B-sides and things like that. So I need to be checking into some of that. Check out what was going on in the 90s that we missed.
Right? Or I need to listen to the albums now through an adult lens. Because a few of their songs will come up on my shuffle, but a lot of times I'm really not in the mood for it. You know what I mean? Maybe I don't really want something fast-paced, dancey. I'll just have a little bit more of a chill.
That's me when I'm cooking.
In the background.
I miss a lot of good music while cooking because I just need it to be a little bit chiller, or just, like I'm going folklore over like 1989 when I'm cooking.
Look, we're women in our 30s. Like, that's what happens. But yeah, I would be interested in hearing what it sounds like through my grown-up ears. So I'm probably going to do that when we're done.
Let's do that.
This.
And then when we talk about Victoria Beckham, we can always mention how we're feeling, because I will do the same. And just the first 2, right?
I'm not going for the third. No.
Okay. I might listen to Goodbye though, because I want to listen to that. Because it's such a beautiful song.
I want to listen.
Goodbye is just
I will never tell you no.
It's such a beautiful song on Forever. And it is much more nostalgic to what the Spice Girls were. It's very much in the same vein as Viva Forever and Mama. Like those 3 songs, Goodbye, Viva Forever, and Mama, are very beautiful, like get in your feels songs. And maybe You should totally add that one to your list. But like, yeah, not the whole third album.
Yeah, we'll be a little bit more selective for the third album, but
yes. Or maybe even whatever set lists they used in 2019 would be interesting info after listening to all of these. Because you and I, we know them all. You almost even forgot, like, you knew which ones were on the radio, but like you listened to whole cities back then. But nowadays, it's even artists are doing this, like big artists, it's like single. And then, you get a full album.
That's how Chaperone sort of was releasing music for a while. It was a lot of singles.
And EPs and things like that, because they're trying to feed us. Those have always existed. It's just, to me, it's just done in a different way. Or maybe, again, I just understand it more as an adult. I don't know. Maybe I should just stop talking.
But what a fun group. They really were more than just a pop act. I feel like they were the group that represented friendship, girl power. It really was a moment in time that was fun to be a little girl listening to some really good music and wearing some fun clothes.
Oh, you felt so lucky to be alive in the same timeline as these women. And it's just so interesting because they were, 10, 15 years older than us, but yet we still resonated with the music and what they were trying to put out from the kid lens. And just like you said, it really is just like a flash in the pan of like specific time period of 96 to 98. And then, of course, yes, they didn't just disappear, but it was different after that, right? But so it really is such a specific moment in time that they represent and that they can bring you back to. It's not 1993. It's not 92. It's not Christmas 95. No, it is summer 90, like 6, 7, 8, whatever. Like, I know we said the dates that the albums were released, but like, I'm not like, obviously don't have them memorized, but like, it's that time period. You know what I mean? Like this bright, shiny moment in those 3 years specifically. And it'll take you back. It's incredible what listening to those songs can do too. So I'm so excited for a little bit of a re-listen that we'll catch up on next week.
That's perfect. I can't wait to talk about Victoria and the rest of the Beckhams next week. Be sure to tune in on Thursday for our case coverage, our true crime case coverage. And next Monday for
Ever wonder why so many people regain weight after stopping a GLP-1? Up to 40% of the weight loss can come from lean muscle. This weakens the body, slows metabolism, and makes it easier to put the pounds back on, creating a cycle of dependency. Prolon's 5-day fasting mimicking diet offers a drug-free way to maintain results and support long-term metabolic health. In just 5 days, it activates fasting pathways to burn fat, protect muscle, and rejuvenate cells, all while letting you enjoy real food. Whether transitioning off a GLP-1 or seeking a sustainable solution, Prolon helps you stay on track. So what exactly is Prolon? Well, it's a plant-based nutrition program featuring soups, snacks, and beverages designed to nourish the body while keeping it in a fasting state, thus triggering cellular rejuvenation and renewal. It was developed over more than 2 decades at USC's Longevity Institute, and it's backed by top U.S. medical centers. Prolon has been shown to support fat-focused weight loss, biological age reduction, metabolic health, skin appearance, and so much more. Prolon really picks up where GLPs leave off. It's convenient, backed by Nobel-winning science, and helps you sustain your results long term. What I love about Prolon is how simple they make it. Everything you need comes right to your door, perfectly portioned and easy to follow. And the food? It's delicious. For a limited time, Prolon is offering listeners 25% off site-wide, plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day program. Just visit prolonlife.com/diaries. That's PROLONLIFE.com/diaries to claim your 25% discount and your bonus gift. prolonlife.com/diaries.
I can't stress enough how big of a difference therapy through Rula has made in my life. For the last many years, I have turned to Rula to access my therapy in order to manage things like OCD, as well as just the everyday stuff from existing here on Earth. I love being able to access it virtually, especially during the pandemic. My OCD was not comfortable going in person. And the selection of therapists I was able to choose from was incredible. I seriously love my therapist that I have right now so much. So with Rula, you too can find the right therapist for you. No, really, I mean that because Rula partners with over 15,000 therapists and psychiatrists that operate nationwide. And listen, most of your major insurance companies are going to cover in-network care. Most patients pay as little as $15, but depending on your coverage, you might pay $0. I know I do. And if that's not enough, Rula is committed to being there with you every step of the way. I know they've been there for me the entire time I've been with them. They've helped me find the right therapist twice now, 2 amazing therapists that I've been able to work with. They also remind me when I have an appointment. They can do this for you too. Thousands have already trusted Rula to support them on their journey towards improved mental health and overall well-being. Head over to rula.com/diaries to get started today. After you sign up, they ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Go to rula.com/diaries and take the first step towards better mental health today. You deserve quality care from someone who cares.
This holiday, discover meaningful gifts for everyone on your list at Kay. Not sure where to start? Our jewelry experts are here to help you find or create the perfect gift, in-store or online. Book your appointment today and unwrap love this season, only at Kay.
Another Unscripted, which is when we're going to be talking about Posh or Victoria Beckham and the rest of the Beckhams.
Until then, you can find us on all of our socials at the Murder Diaries Pod. And please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube. We do have a full-length video episode that we recently filmed. So go check it out. Until then, bye.